Hi everyone, my name's Emma and this video is going to be some more advanced listening practice. If you're practicing for the FCE, the CAE, maybe IELTS, then this should be useful, I hope. Basically what I'm going to do is talk completely unscripted about a topic. I do have a couple of notes just to keep me on track, then I don't go off on a tangent, but it's going to be, as I said, completely unscripted besides just a couple of notes that I've got here. The listening task itself should last no more than 5 minutes. I'm going to keep it short, and then at the end I'm going to do a listening comprehension quiz, then you can test to see how much you've understood. So let's get started with the listening practice. So the topic of this recording is going to be about the British education system, particularly the one in England, sorry. Depending on where you're from in the UK, whether you're from Wales or Scotland or from England, Northern Ireland, the education system changes very slightly, so I'm just going to focus on the one in England because that's the one that I know more about. I grew up in the north of England. I grew up near a city called York in Yorkshire. No, I don't have a particularly strong Yorkshire accent, it's quite weakened now. But when I was very young, my mum chose to not send me to playgroup. Now, playgroup is where typically preschool children go, normally with their parents. You engage in some activities, you play games mostly, and it's completely optional in the UK. You do not have to go to playgroup. And my mum really loved me and she didn't want me to go to playgroup. She wanted me to stay home. I don't know why, maybe just as company, because she loved me. I was her new little bundle of joy and she didn't want me to go. However, at the age of 5, I went to primary school. Typically in the UK, primary school lasts from the age of 5 until about 11 or 12 years old. Typically the schools are quite small in England. Primary school is quite small. I remember I had a class of, well, in my school it was a little bit different. I actually went to not private schools, I went to 2 primary schools. My first primary school was quite small. The second one, however, was a lot bigger. So I remember being in a class of about 30 other children, while the first primary school, it was maybe about 20, 25, but I do know people who have had smaller classes and some with even larger classes. So that's primary school. However, once you hit about 12 years old, more or less, 12, 11, depends on how old you are, when your birthday is, you then go on to secondary school. Now, secondary school is typically a lot bigger. And it's where you start preparing for your GCSEs. Now, your GCSEs are the exams that you take when you're about 16 years old. You typically take them during the summer, so it's always super, super hot when you take, well, hot for us anyway. It's always quite hot when you take them in the summer. And this basically determines the kind of university you'll be going to in the future, if you choose to go to university, that is. So when I was in school, I chose BTEC Art for one of my subjects, and I also chose Drama Studies. Now, I really liked these 2 subjects. I had no idea what I wanted to do in my life, so I just chose these 2, hoping that they would get me far in life. And I guess, you know, my creative side does come out every so often. But I remember, you know, taking my exams, and they were quite difficult. They were really hard. And I took them when I was 16. I never really wanted to continue and go on to college. Now, don't confuse this with college in America, which would be university in the UK. College you go to between the age of 16 and 18 or 16 and 19, depending on the kind of course that you're doing. And you would choose 4 subjects in your first year. So these would be your AS levels. I chose English literature, English language, media studies, and art. And I chose media studies over drama because unfortunately there was a clash in the timetable, so I wasn't able to to continue with drama, but I still enjoy media studies. It helped me quite a lot, opened my eyes to the media, so I was quite interested in that. And then after the first year, when you finish your AS exams, you can drop one of the classes. So I decided to drop English literature because I wasn't really that into literature. I enjoyed reading, but I didn't enjoy analysing the books and kind of going into the stories any deeper than just, you know, reading them for pleasure, for enjoyment. So I decided to drop that. In the end, I didn't do too badly on my A-level exams. I remember my best grade was actually, I think it was English language. I got a B, but the others were not too good. But still, they were okay enough to get me into university. I just wasn't a very good student back then. I was maybe a little bit lazy, or I didn't quite know where I wanted to go in life, so it was a confusing period. Now, my story is a little bit different because I didn't go straight on to university, but I'm going to skip that little part of my life story and jump straight to when I went to university. So typically, people between, well, I'm going to say between the ages of, but anyone can go to university in the UK, so long as you've got the grades to go. Typically you need A-levels to go. So I studied English language and linguistics. I studied that for 3 years. During my second year I went abroad to Spain, and that was pretty much it. Nothing much more to say about that. Universities also change a little bit, like the course structure changes depending on the kind of university you go to. So my university focused more on coursework, while other universities focus more on exams. So it completely depends on where you go, the subject that you're doing, that kind of thing, as to whether you do more exams or more coursework. Let me see what else. I think that's pretty much it. You know, once you've finished your degree, you can then go on to do a master's, you can then go on to do a PhD, etc. And that's something that I'm thinking about doing in the future, but I'm not too sure yet. I do have a master's degree, which I finished in 2018. And, well, I graduated in 2018, but I finished in 2017. So I am thinking about doing a PhD in the future. Just depends, because typically PhDs are quite expensive in the UK. So I'll have to see how that one goes. Now what I'm going to do is give you a little quiz. I'm also going to leave a worksheet down in the comments which you can have a look at, you can download, and you can check your comprehension, see how you did. Now I was speaking at a completely normal pace, well, completely normal for me anyway, so if you weren't able to understand, then don't worry, I have fully subtitled this video. So go back, watch it with the subtitles in case you missed anything, and download the notes and the comprehension questions and check to see how you did. Why not tell me a little bit about your education system in your country as well? Tell me down in the comments what it was like growing up in your country. Is the education system different in your country as well to the UK? Let me know. I'm interested to see if it's the same. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you enjoy this, don't worry, there'll be more videos in the future every single week. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram, where I post videos and speaking practice activities to help you improve your British English pronunciation and listening skills.